Hi, we're here to talk to you about what to do if you're stuck in a lousy marriage. And I'm Rivka Slacken, and we're here with my husband, Shlomo Slacken, therapist extraordinaire. So let's talk about what to do if you're stuck in a lousy marriage. And Shlomo, is it possible for people to get out of a lousy marriage without actually getting divorced? What can they do?
Of course, there are a lot of things you can do, but we're going to explore one thing that you can do to get out of that lousy marriage without actually leaving the relationship.
And is this something that people can do if they're married a very long time or a short time?
Sure, I've seen couples who've been married for 30 plus years been able to take this one thing and get out of their lousy marriage, despite getting years of help or trying to work on the relationship and not having any success.
Great. So let's talk about who we're talking about so our listeners can know if we're talking to them or not.
Okay, so there are a few reasons why your marriage might be lousy. One of the obvious ones is that your caregivers didn't have a happy marriage. So whether your parents got divorced or whether they stayed together, if they didn't have a happy relationship, then you're likely to have modeled what you've seen. So unless you make a conscious effort to change what you saw, and even if you told yourself you did, there may be part of you that is still taking, at least unconsciously, repeating some of the patterns that were so ingrained growing up. So it's going to be challenging for you to have a good relationship if you didn't see one yourself.
That makes a lot of sense. Who else could be suffering from a lousy marriage, or what are some indicators of a lousy marriage?
In our day and age, I think there's more stress than ever. Even just listening to the news could stress you out. We know in an instant everything that's going on all over the world, and if we can be sensitive to that, then it can really stress us out. So besides that, we have just the general stressors of the economy, making a living, raising a family, other personal stressors. You could have challenging relationships with in-laws, parents. So there are a lot of things that can get in the way, and if you're suffering under stress, it's likely to affect your relationship. So it's really important that you can take care of your stress levels and to work on creating safety in your relationship so that you can be able to connect and work through the issues together. So if you're under a lot of stress, your marriage also might be under a lot of stress as well.
That makes a lot of sense as well, because stress really is a silent relationship killer. I know that there are some that complain that they just don't like being around their spouse, that every interaction that they have together really doesn't end up well. What do you have to say about that?
So this is kind of like a vicious cycle, because what happens is when your interactions are negative, then there's negative stimuli, so it makes you not want to be with each other. It reinforces that. So the more negative interactions you have, the less you want to spend with each other, and then the more negative interactions you do have when you have what to do with each other. So this never-ending cycle of negativity also can be an indicator of a lousy relationship, and could be pretty hard to get out of.
Not good. A lot of readers of ours report that having poor communication skills is one of their top complaints. Do you see that?
Yeah, communication, we can't not communicate. Whether it's verbal or nonverbal, we have to communicate to interact with someone else. And most couples are not equipped with communication skills. We don't learn that when we enter a relationship. Even if we think we're a good listener, even if we think we're sensitive, we don't always understand each other. So if you're talking to each other and it's not really getting through, if you don't feel understood, if your spouse doesn't feel heard, it can be quite frustrating. And then it just escalates because nobody feels understood, both people feel hurt, and it can be quite painful. So learning better communication skills definitely could help that, but it does contribute to a lousy relationship.
That I can definitely see how that would be. And then the last one is people that kind of wish they were with somebody else, or maybe they think about what it would have been like if they would have married their previous boyfriend or girlfriend.
So this is quite dangerous when couples start thinking that their situation is so bad that the only way to solve it is to be elsewhere, but they're not ready to leave their marriage, so they're kind of feeling that they're stuck in a lousy marriage. They're not really aware of why they're dealing with a specific conflict they're facing in their marriage, and they just think they made the wrong choice. So to be living with that is quite a lousy feeling, to just constantly think that I married the wrong person, but I'm not willing to terminate the relationship, so I'm stuck here.
I want you to share with our listeners what is at least one thing that they can learn about marriage, or what can they do to transform their current state of affairs. Can you share that with us?
So there are many actions that you can take, but there's really one thing that can really transform everything in a very short time. It's so powerful that it always seems miraculous, even working with a couple, even the first time in a session or in an intensive. It doesn't necessarily need to take that long before we can open up their eyes to a different possibility that can transform their relationship. And it's just, and we're going to learn about it in just a moment, but some people might not think this is even important to address, even some colleagues in my field.
Do they know about this?
As we see it, it's something that's quite obvious, but I don't think people always appreciate the importance of it and understanding what's going on.
Okay, well, now I'm really excited to hear this. And I have a clue maybe of what it is, because I think that we used it in our own marriage, right?
Right. When we were struggling in the beginning, and we were a little bit disappointed because everything was so great, and then all of a sudden we started fighting with each other, and I'm just kind of dismayed, like, how could it be? We thought we were perfect for each other. We thought we would, remember when people would tell us, everybody has challenges, and we said, we're not going to, because we're different. We're great communicators. We're so connected. We know each other so well. There's no way we're going to have any challenges in our relationship. So we were quite naive, and even though I think we did have a good relationship, we didn't realize it. So this thing that we're going to learn obviously did help us, and it really transformed things. I think right away when we started finding out about this, and when we got help, it transformed it right away and gave us hope for a better future.
Well, I'm glad that you're going to share that with everybody, because I know that the hope that we got after working on our relationship with this one thing was why we stopped thinking about potentially separating or worrying that we had fallen out of love, right?
Exactly. And these are some of the things that, let's try to think about. What are you dealing with right now? Where are you in your relationship, given the feeling of being stuck in a lousy relationship? You might be in your current approach, whatever it is, it's not working. And it could be the reason why you're thinking of splitting, separating. It could be why you're nervous that it's just not going to get better. You have no hope, and you think we probably fell out of love, and there's no way to repair it. And even if you have worked on your relationship, you're still, if you're listening to this call, so whatever you've done till now may not have been helpful. So it's kind of scary. So we'd like to share with you some of our ideas about what might transform your relationship.
Great. Well, some of you might have caught my little sneak preview, but what it is marriage mastery, where that's really where we include this one thing. That's really what we want to introduce today and tell you what that one thing is. And drum roll, the one thing that we want to share with you today about how you can get out of your lousy marriage without actually leaving it physically, and that is consciousness. Tell us more about that, Shlomo.
Consciousness is really the key to fixing your problems, because it shifts your perspective from looking at the problems to seeing the big picture. And when you start following the 5 steps in the Marriage Mastery program, all the doubts that you had start to melt away, because now you have hope, you have understanding. Because of this consciousness that we're going to explain, you have understanding of why you're dealing with the issues you're dealing with. And this really helps you understand the conflict that you've been stuck in, because the conflict that you experience are really the exact issues that are a catalyst for your own personal growth and healing. Because we believe that the purpose of relationships and the mature adult relationships, marriage, is for the purpose of growth and healing, and that we are attracted to someone and we connect with somebody who is going to kind of stir up the pot, bring up those issues. So the fact that you have conflict is not a reason that you married the wrong person, but it's actually perhaps telling you that this is actually their destined partner. This is the person that you picked for a very good reason. And some people might say, oh, that's a nice way to say it to somebody, that, deal with your suffering. But we don't believe that, because if you start examining, you get conscious about the issues that you're dealing with, you'll start realizing that those are the very issues that you need to work on yourself to become a greater and more whole and complete person. And the same for your spouse. So it takes you away from blame. Instead of blaming your spouse and saying, a lot of people think their spouse is holding them back from a more fulfilling life. But the truth is, without your spouse, you can't really achieve your ultimate success in personal growth and relationships, because your spouse is going to be the catalyst for what you need to grow and become a more complete person. The thing that they need most from you is going to be the most challenging thing for you to give them. But if you can work on that and understand each other better and be able to meet their needs and they meet your needs, then you'll achieve true relationship success and fulfillment.
So is their conflict going to stop with the consciousness?
The day-to-day conflict is going to stop. Now, I'm not saying that that you'll never have conflict again, but it's definitely going to be much less. And when you do have the conflict, you'll be able to get through it a lot quicker. So there won't be weeks and weeks of silent treatment. You'll be able to recover because you'll have the skills and awareness of what's really going on.
Great. That sounds amazing. So the everyday conflict is going to dissipate, and people are going to start being hopeful that their marriage will get better.
Yes, because first of all, if you understand why you're experiencing conflict, then you know what you need to do to get out of the conflict.
That's amazing. I love this. Problems will make sense and go away.
Right, a lot of times just the understanding alone will make the problems not be issues anymore.
So you basically created Marriage Mastery because you wanted everybody to have the amazing results that we had, correct?
Right, and there are only so many hours in the day, and I can't possibly work with every couple that contacts me. So we thought that in order to spread our message and to share these tools with couples, we wanted to have something that they could do on their own at home in an affordable way. And even for people whose spouses, a lot of times I get calls from people who one person's interested in working on the relationship, the other one is not necessarily on board, or they don't want to come for therapy. So this is a program that one partner can do and affect change in the relationship.
And you're obviously qualified to give them, this program because you're a licensed clinical professional counselor, you have a master's degree in counseling psychology, and you went on to become an advanced clinician in imagotherapy. And you also co-authored a program with imagotherapy's founder, Dr. Harville Hendricks.
But so we've been doing this, we have trainings and specifically working with couples, and we've been doing this for about a decade now. So we've seen it all, and we really want to help as many couples as possible and help families so that we can build a better future for all.
Wonderful. I know that it worked for us, and we're very confident that it will work for you if you're listening and you feel that some of these things resonate with you as far as what's current state that your relationship is in. And we really want to inspire you to do something different, because if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you're getting. And unfortunately, in this case, that means a lousy marriage.
So we know with this program that your marriage is only going to get better, not worse. So there's really no reason not to try it.
We're very excited to share it with you, and we welcome your feedback. There's an order button below, or you can click on the URL that you're seeing in your screen. So try it today.